Hi, it's Miss Lisa from St. Paris Public Library. Welcome back to night 2 of our chapter book reading, My Big Fat Zombie Goldfish. And we're going to start in chapter 3 tonight. Chapter 3, Fish 911. I did more than touch it. I reached into the bowl and scooped it up with my fingers and ran to the bathroom. Come on, Fish, hang on, you'll be okay now, I muttered as I ran. The fish was covered in the green gunk and it was flipping about in my hands. At least it was still moving, but it wouldn't last long, all gunked up like this. I tried to hold it in one hand while I turned on the tap and tried to wash it, but I could feel it wiggling through my fingers. Then, slurp, it flipped out of my hand and landed in the toilet. Splash! I dropped down next to the bowl. The fish kind of bobbed around and swished its tail, but then it went still and leaned over. Our other goldfish all did that leaning thing too, just before they went belly up and died. I raced to my bedroom and got my walkie-talkie. Tom, to Pradeep. Come in, Pradeep. Over, I said. Roger, Pradeep answered. I mean, Roger, Tom, or Tom, Roger. Anyway, I'm here. Over. Pradeep, it's a code red, I shouted. Over, quick. We have this code of important stuff we both agreed on when we were back in first grade. Yellow is stuff like girls are nearby. Blue is stuff like there's a dog digging up the gross food from our lunch boxes that we buried. Orange is stuff like there's a teacher or parent coming. Red is the most important stuff you can imagine, like aliens are invading the neighborhood, or escaped elephants are trampling at the playground, or somebody is murdering a goldfish. If you're trying to figure out the system, it's not like traffic lights or anything. It's the color of jelly beans from least good to best. I'll be there on the double, Pradeep said, and hung up. I was still staring at the leaning fish in the toilet when Pradeep ran up the stairs. In here, I called. What's up, he asked. I pointed to the fish. Pradeep bent down and looked closely at it. Did you go to the fair, he asked. No, it's Mark's, I said, part of his evil scientist plan to murder a goldfish with green evil scientist stuff. We leaned over the toilet bowl and stared at the fish again. Did you learn anything on your Cub Scout first aid day that could help him, I asked hopefully. We didn't do goldfish, he said. The fish tilted to one side, then the other, then onto his back. Oh no, he's going belly up, I shouted. I reached into the toilet and turned the fish right side up, but he just floated upside down. Again, when I let go. Pradeep, we need to do something. Quick, I told him. He'd be okay. He's counting on me. It needs CPR, Pradeep said. On a person, you would press on their chest and count, or you would shock them with those battery packs attached to paddles that they have at the hospital. I saw it on TV. We have batteries, I said. I ran into my room and took the battery out of my alarm clock. Then I raced back to see Pradeep laying the fish on the shelf by the sink. I put the opening end of the battery on him and flip! The fish jerked. I looked at Pradeep and I did it again. Flip-flop! This time the fish started wiggling like it did when I first grabbed it out of the bowl. We quickly filled up the sink and dropped the fish in, and it started swimming around. We did it, I said. Pradeep and I did our secret celebration high five. 2 slaps up, 2 down, elbow bumps, knees, fists, pumps, left, right, then we rock, said at the same time as we bumped fists in the middle. You shocked him back to life, said Pradeep, like Frankenstein in that movie. Hey, let's call him Frankie, after the monster. Hello, Frankie, I said, tapping the side of the sink. He stopped swimming and slowly turned around. And that's when I swear he looked me right in the eye and winked. Chapter 4, Frankenfish. Did you see that? I turned to Pradeep. What? Pradeep was drying his hands on the bathroom towel. The way Frankie looked at me. He winked. I stared down at the goldfish, but now he was looking around in the normal way that goldfish do. You know, where one of their eyes is looking at the wall and the other one's looking at your left nostril at the same time. Never mind, I said, shaking my head. We've got to get Frankie back in his bowl before Mark notices he's gone, or else. Your dead meat? Pradeep finished his words. We ran back into Mark's room to grab the bowl of gloppy green water. You can't put him back in the bowl. The gunk will kill him, Pradeep said. We can't put him in clean water. Mark will notice and kill me. And then he'll kill Frankie. We ran back to the bathroom, sat on the radiator, and stared at Frankie swimming around in the sink. Then I had an idea. Hey, what if we make it green, that safe stuff? Remember the green food coloring stuff your mom used last St. Patrick's Day? I mean, if it's okay for people to eat, it's got to be okay for fish to swim in, right? Pradeep thought for a second. It'll have to be. Pradeep's mom isn't Irish. She just gets really into holidays. You can pretty much name a holiday, and Pradeep's mom has had a party for it. When we went over there for her St. Patrick's Day party, she had dyed everything green. We even had green finger sandwiches, which it turns out don't even have real fingers in them. Total false advertising. And she had green milkshakes and green cupcakes with green icing. It was cool, except that when you eat 17 green cupcakes in a row, it means you throw up in green. We have to get some of the green food coloring from your kitchen, I said. I can't go home, Pradeep said. My mom will make me stay for the Earth Day polar bear pajama party that she's having. I looked at Pradeep with a face that said, I can't even ask why she would do that. He answered my face. She says the North Pole has really long nights and the polar bears sleep a lot, so they want a pajama party. He paused. I told her it didn't work. Never mind, okay? I'll go and get the food coloring, I said. As I started for the stairs, I could hear the thump, thump, thump of Mark's music coming through his headphones. He must be on the couch just by the steps. There was no way I could sneak past. Okay, I'm taking the escape route 5. Pradeep and I had planned 16 different escape routes from both our houses, just in case of a code red. Route 5 was out of my bathroom window. Pradeep, it's up to you to stop Mark from coming upstairs before I get back. You can count on me, Pradeep said. I'll think of something to keep him occupied. He gave me a thumbs up, then took a deep breath and headed downstairs to the TV room, where Mark was slumped over the couch. Can I say, that's a really cool white scientist coat you're wearing, Pradeep said. I heard him start to tell Mark about the nature special on the National Geographic Channel that shows you what's really in a crocodile's stomach. Time for escape route 5. I opened the window of the bathroom and stood on the toilet lid to climb out onto the garage roof. Suddenly, it looked a lot farther down to the roof than it did in the drawing we'd done in Pradeep's notebook. No going back now. I edged out the window. Then I heard a splash and a thwack. Before I even turned around, I knew what that sound was. It was the sound of a wet goldfish hitting the tiled floor. Chapter 5. That's no ordinary goldfish. No, Frankie, I said as I jumped off the toilet and scooped him up. He wiggled in my hands as I dropped him back into the sink. He swam twice in a circle and then up to the surface where he stared at me, his eyes glowing a bit green. You stay here. I'll be back. I climbed back onto the toilet seat and turned and pushed the window again, wide enough for me to crawl through. That was when I heard the next splash and then a whoosh. Green and gold flashed past my right ear as Frankie leaped out of the window. I stuck my head out in time to see him land in a puddle of rainwater on the garage roof. Jumping down, I quickly dug the plastic bag he'd arrived in out of the trash. This was too weird. Frankie really wanted to go outside. None of the ping pong ball fish ever did anything like this. Once I filled up the bag with water, I scrambled out onto the roof. I guess you're coming with me then, I said, as I scooped up Frankie from the puddle and plopped him into the bag. I tied a knot in the top and held the bag in my teeth as I climbed down the side of the garage. My feet felt for the top of the compost bin. Got it. From there, I jumped down onto the lawn. Escape Route 5 was a success, even carrying a fish. Result. I ran around to the front of the house and peeked through the window. I could see Pradeep's back. He was sitting in a chair and Mark was standing in front of him showing him his chemistry set. If Pradeep could just keep Mark downstairs for a bit longer, then Frankie and I would be back before he noticed. In seconds, I was at Pradeep's back door, inching it open. His mom was inside making popcorn. Popcorn kernels popped and banged so loudly she didn't hear the door open. She rolled some popcorn pieces in green marshmallow fluff and rolled some others in blue marshmallow fluff and then squished them into little round globes. Then she poured melted white chocolate over the top of each of the little earths. Took me a second, but then I got it. Melting polar ice caps. Cool. Samina, she called out, can you come and help Mommy take out our party plates? Sammy burst through the kitchen door dressed in mermaid pajamas with a blue and green tail swooshing behind her. The tail got caught in the door, yanking her onto the floor with a thud. I covered my mouth so she couldn't hear me laugh. And before you say anything, laughing at little sisters doing stupid things is totally not evil. It's not even mostly evil. It's just regular. As Pradeep's mom went over to help her, Frankie and I moved over to the cupboard where all the party stuff was kept. I crouched low behind the counter and put Frankie on the floor in his bag so I could open the cupboard and reach inside. Samina, would you like to lick the chocolate bowl? Pradeep's mom asked as she put Sammy back on her feet and turned to take the chocolate and marshmallow popcorn balls out into the living room. I heard the kitchen door shut behind her. Sammy toddled over to the counter that we were hiding behind. Bowl, she announced in that really serious way tiny kids has of saying things. She stuck her hands into the bowl, smeared them around, and started to lick the chocolate. Then she squealed, fishy, fishy. I peered around the corner to see Sammy jumping up and down on the spot and Frankie swishing his tail in circles and paddling his front fins at the same time to roll the bag towards her. How did he figure out how to do that? Fishy, fishy, Sammy shouted again. I jumped out from behind the counter. Shh, Sammy. Her bottom lip started to shake in that earthquake warning. This tantrum is going to be a 9 on the Richter scale kind of way. I scooped up Frankie off the floor in his bag and handed him to Sammy. She gripped the top of her with her chocolatey fingers. Shh, quiet, little fishy, I whispered. Shh, little fishy, she giggled. She stared at Frankie in the bag. Swishy little fishy, she said. I ran back to the cupboard and searched. Flour, sugar, sprinkles, icing, tiny little icing polar bears. Aha! Food coloring. I grabbed the little green bottle and ran back to Sammy and Frankie. Sammy was still holding the bag, but she was much quieter now. She just whispered, swishy little fishy, over and over. Frankie stared at her with his big green bulging eyes, and she just stared ahead. What was with this goldfish? He could survive toxic gunk, jump out the windows, and now he could make the noisiest little kid on the planet go quiet. As I looked at Frankie, a little light bulb went on. Somewhere in the back of my head, Frankie's glowing green eyes. They look like the undead gaze that the zombies in the Marx comics used to hypnotize people. And Sammy's stare. One of her eyes was looking at the wall and the other one was looking up my left nostril at the same time. It was a goldfish stare. Maybe I hadn't saved Frankie's life at all when I shocked him with the battery. Maybe I brought him back from the dead, and now Frankie was a big, fat, zombie goldfish. And somehow he had hypnotized my best friend's sister.